Hi, my name is Michael Hill, and I'm the 18th president of the Chautauqua Institution. And today we're going to chat a little bit about the nature of our historic amphitheater and its many evolutions. Chautauqua Institution was founded in 1874, initially as a Methodist Sunday school training camp. And early on in its history, our founders decided that part of that education had to include great speakers, great preachers, and entertainment. 5 years later, they moved from just putting a platform and a tent up to a more formal structure, what would become the first amphitheater in 1879. It was a flat-floored, flat-roofed structure that fit several hundred people inside. Within 10 years, they had outgrown that and also decided that as it was raining, that first structure was being flooded and they would often have to move to higher ground. The concept came up to pitch a tented roof above a ravine. And instead of doing that in 1879, they built a structure that seated somewhere around 3,000 to 4,000 people. Interestingly enough, that structure had some challenges. The flat roof, when it rained, while it still kept people dry and away from flooding, made it sound like there were a torrent of drum beats on the roof. Over 10 years, the roof of that amphitheater started sagging, and it gave the founders of the institution an opportunity to build what we refer to as AMP 2.0 about 10 years later. That structure, many think, has lasted until this most recent iteration, but that's actually not true. The structure itself has been rebuilt and repackaged and repurposed and revitalized a number of times over a 100-plus year history. What hasn't changed, however, is the location of where the founders would convene. And so now the institution is coming out of a multi-year re-envisioning process, building what will look and feel to many like the same amphitheater with some really significant improvements and additions. So whereas sight lines in the old one, where there used to be pillars, might be a challenge, modern technology and the advancement in construction allow us to take away some of those pillars while still having the same aesthetic. And in many ways doing what the founders had done twice before, which was to ask the question, what is the new need for a new generation of Chautauquans coming to debate the great issues of the day, to see the most invigorating performances, and to hold moments of worship and spiritual reflection inside a facility. So we will, this season, open up what for many will feel and look like the old amphitheater, but it was really a nearly $42 million expansion renovation of this iconic site. So it's the same site, or as some of the founders said, it's not the building that's important, it's the air under which we convene. So the same air, but a new facility with some slightly expanded seating options, and then in the back of the house, some significant advancements for artists and speakers and theologians to gather and to convene. One of the most exciting things about the amphitheater is that it has, for almost our entire history, been the most significant convening space for Chautauqua Institution. And reflected in that is the speakers that have come through there. Multiple presidents have come through. So Roosevelt gave his iconic "I Hate War" speech from the amphitheater. We've had a number of sitting presidents. We've had Supreme Court justices like Sandra Day O'Connor. We've had icons like Booker T. Washington. We've also had major artists that have come through there. So it's really been a who's who of folks that are the major curators in society and the major movers and shakers that are debating what's happening in the world have come through on the amphitheater stage, and that'll certainly continue in this new one. Well, Chautauqua Institution is actually a 750-acre campus that has more than 100 public buildings to do its programming in. The amphitheater has always been the heart of the institution. We like to say it's not only where the most Chautauquans can gather, but it's the center, the moral center of the institution. It's where we do everything from hold church services on Sunday, to hold great performers, to listen to iconic speakers at 10:45. But I think for many community members that show up, whether that be for an entire season or a couple of days, it's the one spot where you can see neighbors, and neighbors are talking about what they're seeing on stages or in the community. And that really is the philosophy of Chautauqua. How do you bring citizen advocates together to debate great ideas? I think if you were to ask an everyday Chautauquan, again, whether they're there for a day, 9 weeks, or it's their first visit, that space represents iconically where people come to debate ideas and to form community around ideas. And this new amphitheater will allow us to do that even more so than we've ever done in the past. Well, Chautauqua Institution is an incredibly proud neighbor and part of both Westfield and Mayville. Not only do we provide a forum to be one of the largest employers in the region, and we take that responsibility seriously, but as I like to say to folks that may live in larger urban areas, the institution provides, from an entertainment perspective, from an intellectual curiosity perspective, from a recreation perspective, world-class entertainment and educational offerings that I think that we're extremely proud to provide to these two communities because we're a part of them. We're their neighbors. Many of the folks, most of the folks that work at the institution come from these communities, and for more than 140 years we've been a central part of these communities in these towns, and we're looking forward to doing that for a century plus more.